Imagine this. In April 2025, a massive cargo ship carrying 300,000 tons of soybeans docked at China's Tianjin port after more than 10 days at sea. On paper, it looked routine. The soybeans were marked as coming from Argentina, a trusted supplier. But instead of unloading, China did something shocking. It rejected the entire shipment. Why? Because customs officials suspected these beans weren't Argentine at all. They were American soybeans wearing an Argentine disguise. To understand why soybeans became such a flashpoint, we need to rewind a little. Whenever Donald Trump steps into the White House, one thing is almost guaranteed. Tensions with China flare up. And in early 2025, history repeated itself. In February, Trump slapped a 10% tariff on all Chinese imports. But that was only the beginning. By April, the tariff rate had exploded to a staggering 145%. Making Chinese goods nearly impossible to sell competitively in the United States. Of course, Beijing wasn't going to sit quietly. Within weeks, China hit back with its own tariffs, 15% on U.S. coal and liquefied natural gas, 10% on crude oil, cars, and machinery. Soon after, they went further, targeting American food exports: chicken, wheat, corn, pork, beef, even fruits and dairy. And then came the ultimate blow. China cut off purchases of U.S. soybeans, a crop American farmers had long depended on selling to their biggest customer. That's when the scramble, and the disguises, began. Now, you might wonder, why all this drama over soybeans? After all, China is a country of 1.4 billion people. Rice, wheat, and corn are its main staples, and those are largely produced domestically. But soybeans are different. China's farms simply can't grow enough of them to meet demand. In 2024, Chinese fields produced only about 20.6 million tons, far below the 105 million tons the country needed. So what happens? Imports. Huge imports. In fact, soybeans make up 2/3 of all grain imports into China. Put it this way, for every $100 China spends on foreign grain, about $70 goes straight to buying soybeans. That's not just animal feed. It's cooking oil, processed foods, and the backbone of a diet that has to support nearly a fifth of the world's population. This dependence made U.S. soybeans critical for years, but when tariffs slammed the brakes on that trade, China had to look elsewhere, especially to Brazil and Argentina. With the U.S. supply suddenly off the table, China turned its eyes south. Brazil quickly became the star player. In 2024 alone, China bought 74 million tons of soybeans from Brazil, spending nearly $27 billion. That covered about 70% of China's soybean imports. Argentina, though smaller, was also important. Its lower prices and steady harvests made it a useful backup supplier. At one point, China even ordered nearly 3 million tons from Argentina in a single month, almost matching Argentina's entire annual exports from just a year earlier. For Argentine farmers, this was a golden opportunity. Demand from China meant steady income and a stronger place in global markets. By early 2025, shipments were already rising, and producers were confident this year would break records. But then came April. A massive shipment of soybeans, supposedly Argentine, arrived in China. Instead of a warm welcome, it was rejected at the port. Why? Customs officials believed these beans weren't Argentine at all. They were American beans in disguise. On the surface, the April shipment looked flawless. The paperwork was stamped Argentina. The packaging carried Argentine labels, and, well, everything appeared in order. But Chinese customs officers weren't convinced. During their routine checks, they noticed something strange: the protein levels. Typically, Argentine soybeans contain less than 34% protein due to local soil and climate. Yet this batch tested at 35.1%. A number far more consistent with American soybeans grown in the Midwest. That was just the beginning. Inspectors dug deeper and discovered another clue. The sacks used to carry the beans were actually manufactured in the United States. These weren't small mistakes. They were smoking guns. All signs pointed in one direction. These weren't Argentine beans at all, but U.S. soybeans in an Argentine costume. China promptly rejected the entire 300,000-ton shipment and sent it back. For American traders, it was a failed gamble. For China, it was proof that no amount of repackaging could outsmart its customs system. The April incident wasn't a one-off mistake. In fact, it was déjà vu. Back in 2024, another shipment, 200,000 tons of soybeans labeled as Argentine, was also flagged by Chinese customs. On paper, everything looked perfect. The certificates of origin were clean, and the documents passed initial checks. But within just 48 hours, inspectors cracked the case. The beans weren't from Argentina at all. They had come straight from America's Midwest. How did China figure it out so fast? The secret was technology. Customs officers used GPS tracking of shipping routes, advanced protein testing, and even high-precision mass spectrometers to trace the beans back to their origin. In total, they compared 12 scientific indicators, from chemical signatures to growth patterns, until the truth became undeniable. By 2024, China had also rolled out a new AI-powered customs algorithm with an incredible 98% accuracy rate in detecting fraud. That meant fake soybeans, no matter how cleverly disguised, had little chance of slipping through. The U.S. attempt to sneak soybeans into China through Argentina didn't just fail, it caused collateral damage. Remember, Argentina relies heavily on soybean exports, and China is its biggest customer. In 2024, China imported 4.1 million tons of Argentine soybeans, making up over 70% of Argentina's total soybean exports. So when the disguised American shipment was caught, Chinese buyers grew cautious. Some even suspended contracts with Argentina, fearing more fake goods. The backlash was swift. Argentina's Ministry of Agriculture filed a formal complaint with the World Trade Organization, accusing the U.S. of wrecking their credibility and hijacking their market. Officials estimated losses of nearly $200 million from shaken trust and canceled orders. For farmers who had pinned hopes on booming Chinese demand, it was a bitter blow. Argentina began urgent talks with Beijing about creating a traceability certification system, ensuring every shipment could be tracked back to its fields. For them, the U.S.'s shortcut didn't just hurt China's patience, it tarnished Argentina's reputation. In the end, the soybean scandal is about more than mislabeled cargo. It shows how a single crop can become a weapon in a global trade war. For the U.S., soybeans once symbolized a steady business with China, but tariffs and politics turned them into unsold stockpiles. For Argentina and Brazil, the crisis created both opportunities and risks. And for China, it became a test of technology, trust, and strategy. What's striking is how ordinary farmers and consumers pay the highest price. Small producers lose contracts, families face higher food prices, and countries risk strained relationships, all because of political games. A bag of soybeans, something most of us never think twice about, is suddenly at the center of billion-dollar battles and international disputes. The story also proves one thing. In today's interconnected world, faking origins doesn't work. Data, AI, and strict inspections make it nearly impossible to cheat. So what do you think? Are these trade wars protecting economies, or are they hurting the people who can least afford it? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our next deep dive.